So we will get started with this week's Tuesday Talks. I am just so excited to have LeAnn here. We are going to go over Songwriters on the Rise, 4 steps closer to a publishing deal. I want to give you a little insight on who LeAnn is. So LeAnn Phelan is a 25-year veteran music executive who currently runs the multifaceted LP Creative Management, which is a management, publishing, and consulting company. She's been honored with the Music City Milestone from her alma mater, Belmont University, Billboard's Most Powerful Women in Music in 2014. That's so awesome. And Women in Music City in 2017. In her 25-year career, LeAnn has worked as the co-head of ASCAP Nashville Creative and has managed or published the top ASCAP award-winning artists and producers. The list is actually really long, so I recommend you going to her website and reading the full bio on her website. She served as the preliminary judge for American Idol seasons 6 through 9 and was the senior director of A&R at Sony Nashville and vice president at Combustion Music. Before all of her work on the business side, she actually began her career as a background vocalist musician touring with Steve Winwood's Roll with It World Tour in 1988. So needless to say, she's been pretty busy. She has proudly served on the boards of the Academy of Country Music Awards. I hope I did your acronym. Is that the right one? Okay. The Recording
Yeah,
Academy
you're doing
and
great.
the
I'm
Onside Foundation. So she has a lot of knowledge under her belt, and it's just an absolute privilege and honor to have you here with us for our Tuesday talks. And just so everybody knows, we will be recording this, and this will be shared to our website, which is oapn.org, and onto our YouTube channel by sometime tomorrow. So without further ado, LeAnn, I would love you just to take it away. And like she said before, we will open this up at the end for Q&A. So sit back and enjoy.
Thank you, Jessica. That's so nice. I appreciate all the work that you and Ebony have done to get this together. And there's a lot of behind the scenes with these kinds of deals. And it's just nice to know that people care about creatives and want to bring as much information as possible to you guys. We settled on a topic today called 4 Steps Closer to a Publishing Deal, and it's actually my favorite talk to give. In addition to what Jessica so kindly laid out for you guys, the last 3.5 years, I've really leaned into workshops for songwriters and artists. And at this point, I've done over 100 workshops, believe it or not. And we were just talking about this on the Instagram Live with Ebony. The presentation that I have for you today, 4 Steps Closer to a Publishing Deal, is based on my own just stepping back and looking at, like, what did I do when I signed someone to a publishing deal? So it started out as my own process, and I just thought it was worth sharing. Now that we've had over 100 workshops, and not all of the guests that came on were publishers, but a lot of them were, I now know that different pieces of this presentation are what other people depend on as well. So I really feel strongly about sharing this with you guys. It's kind of funny, with a lot of this stuff, it's not really rocket science. It's kind of stuff that's logical, that makes sense, but it's just that we need to keep hearing it over and over again and just keep being reminded that it's really the basics when you get down to it. Like if you take care of the basics of songwriting and focusing on writing the best songs that you can write and finding the best people you can find that help you bring out your unique voice. Like it really comes down to that every time. But it's good to just be reminded about it and just hear it, through hitting the subject through the prism, hitting it a lot of different ways. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we'll just start at the top here. So I call this presentation 4 Steps Closer to a Publishing Deal. And by the way, this will take us 10 or 15 minutes to go through, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. And like we already said, this is my process for signing someone. The first thing that happened, well, this is the most asked question that I've ever gotten ever. So that's what this page is about. What does it take to get signed to a publishing deal? Because most people that are writing songs, they want to do something with it. They want their songs to be heard. Their dream is to write songs for a living and have some people come alongside of them and get their songs out to the world. So this is the most asked question. The number one thing that I mean, it's more important than anything that I've based me signing someone to a publishing deal on is the connection that I feel with that person. And it's pretty much an instant thing. You guys all know this. This is just kind of a life lesson when somebody's coming in the door to your office or to your work, or they're behind you in the grocery store line. Like, you just kind of feel something when you meet somebody that is just kind of a really cool person that fits with your personality. Because the one thing that you don't want is someone that's really draining on you, and especially as the creative person that's going to try to help this person build their career. Like, you want to feel like, oh gosh, you want to pick up the phone every time they call. You want to drop what you're doing when they come in the office. You just want to feel uplifted, because at the end of the day, it's not just about your career. It's about the people that are around you helping you build your career, because nobody really does this by themselves. There's always going to be a village of people that help you through this process. So connection is so important. And the biggest thing that you can do to help, you're not going to connect with everybody. First of all, you're just not. But the thing that you can do when you do get a chance to meet people on the business side that you think there might be a chance to work with them is just kind of take care of your side of the fence. Like, you don't want to really front when you're walking in the office. You want to show your real self. I know it can seem like a first date if you do get that important meeting with the publisher, but you really want to prepare yourself to just be as open as possible so that you can make a real authentic connection with that person. The best way to do that I've found is to show up not scared to be vulnerable. And of course, that's what this slide means. Vulnerability plus courage equals connection. I always tell this, I don't know why, I just think of this one story every time, but when I was managing a staff, I had a person that was really hard to bond with, that I really just thought was the coolest person, but I just, I couldn't connect. And there was a point where this person came in my office and something had kind of happened in their personal life and they were upset about it. And it sounds kind of odd to say, but that was the breaking point for when we finally connected, when that person kind of showed me that they were vulnerable and that they, before they were just kind of presenting like, yeah, I know that, I know this, I know, like I couldn't connect with them. But when they got a little bit vulnerable and shared that with me, it was a different story. And I think you can use this, as you're going along in your career. The second thing that happens for me is I have to ask myself, do I love the music? A lot of people are like, why would connection be before loving the music? Because I've got to work with that person, that's going to take up more time than the music in a lot of cases. But once the connection is there, I take a look at the music. And the only thing that's tricky about this slide is that there are a lot of different kinds of music that I love. But when I am thinking about publishing somebody, I want to work with commercial music, whether it's pop or country. So there's a, genre that I know more about, or a couple of genres I know more about. And I want to just really feel like there's a commercial sense to that music. And, there's some tips here, obviously for you, you want to bring in your best songs. A lot of people ask about production, like, what if I only have guitar vocals? Or, you know, I don't really have this down in a form that I would like. I would say to you, there are some songs that don't need full production. But I will also say more and more, the way things are now, there's so many track people out there that can just really make amazing productions of songs. Like it's not how it used to be. I know we have somebody on here that kind of wanted the update in the industry, like what's it like now? Well, 10 or 15 years ago, in order to get those demos from a songwriter, we'd have to book a whole session in the studio, get about 5 songs we wanted to cut, and then go in and cut those, wait for the mix, to come back, and then assess everything then. But now, most people walk away from their write that day with something that they could show a publisher, and ideally something that publisher could pitch to somebody. So I would say the tracks and the presentation have gotten a lot better. So, you might want to think about that when when you do get a chance to have a meeting like this. And like I said, some things are still going to shine with a piano vocal, guitar vocal, but they better be tremendous songs, and have a really wonderful vocalist on it that's going to be able to sell that lyric and really express the emotion of that lyric. So, there needs to be a certain level that guitar vocal is at. Having said that, there are some people out there that have uploaded Android really not quality sound recordings to Spotify, and those have ended up standing out, So there's an essence to it that is a free for all, but my advice would be, to make sure that that quality song is there, and that even if it is a guitar vocal, that there's a good presentation of that. That would be my suggestion. The third thing we want to look at is, so let's just say we're having a good meeting. I'm the publisher, you're the songwriter coming in, and we've connected, we're having good conversation. We've kind of let our guards down. We're really talking in kind of a friendly, good, connected way. The music's great. Now I'm probably going to try to find out a little bit about you and what your goals are, because I'm going to have some kind of idea of where I think you could go. So we want to make sure that those things are in alignment. And one example of that is, say you have some great songs and your heart's desire is to be an artist and get a record deal and play stadiums, and if I wasn't fully seeing that vision, maybe I just loved your songs and I was seeing those songs being performed by Adele or something like that, um, and that wasn't your dream, well, there's a misalignment. So you want to make sure that you're on the same page as the publisher that you're meeting with, and that you're excited about the direction that you both are heading in, just considering whether or not you're going to work together. I think that's hugely important. And the good news is number 4 is not on you, it's on the publisher, because let's just say you're in alignment for where you want to go. And I've had this happen before. I've had a guy come in that I really connected with. I thought the music was great. We were both in agreement that he should be playing bluegrass festivals all over the world. I thought that too, but I had no idea how to help him with that. It's not my forte. I don't know about that. I don't know that world. So in that case, I would not be able to be beneficial to that songwriter. So you want to make sure that the person that you're considering signing with, that wants to sign you, that has that delirious belief in you and your music, and they're so excited, and you can kind of feel that on a guttural level. Can they help you get there? This doesn't always mean that this person has to be, the head person at Sony Music. It could be like a newer person who's really wanting to make a mark. Um, because, people on the business side, that is their hope and dream too. They want to grow and be the best publisher they can be. So you just kind of have to figure out, like, hey, do I think this young person can help me get there? Is he or she, are they driven enough? Um, and I'm just making the point, like, it doesn't always have to be the most successful person in the office, but you do have to just have a belief that if they don't have the connections now, you believe they're going to go get them. They're driven. They're so excited about you. Like, there's just no question that they can help you succeed and get to the next level. So those are the 4 steps, but we are going to go over quite a few more tips. These are just really important things that come about on this journey. And I've had other people say, like, you have to believe before anybody else does. And speaking of Sony Music, the president of Sony Music Nashville said, you have to deliriously believe in yourself to have this as your career, and believe that you can become a professional songwriter or a professional artist. Like, it just takes that, because there's so many dips in the road. And I have a whole other lesson about the journey and the things you have to get through on the journey. You also have to write tons of songs. There is just a process in writing. And most of the time, this particular point is something that people have not spent enough time on. They're wanting to get a publishing deal before they've just really written enough songs and before they really found their voice. We're going to come back to this point a little bit later, but writing songs, finding your voice, these are so important. Your voice is as unique as your fingerprint. And I'm teaching a class in 2 weeks about finding your voice. And I just want to call it your voice print. We want to find your voice print, the thing that's just so unique to you, that is what is going to set you apart with your songs and your artistry. You want to find your tribe. This is a tricky one, because a lot of people come to town, and I'm just using Nashville as an example. I'm sure that there is a community in Ohio and Michigan and down in Florida, everywhere where like there's, there are all different levels of songwriters, and you want to write with that top person. Well, that top person is that top person because they probably found their tribe when they were at your level. And that's just happened over and over and over again here in Nashville. I could probably name like 10 groups of co-writers that have just risen to heights of like becoming ASCAP Songwriter of the Year and BMI Songwriter of the Year. And it's just because like they just found the people that got them, and they just made each other better in the room, because you've got to be able to practice and throw out ideas and really get on your own path with this. Because if you're trying to write with Ryan Tedder or Ashley Gorley or Linda Perry, like they've already done their thing. They found their voice. They know their thing. They're going to do that really, really well. So your unique thing is what you want to hone in on. So when you do find your tribe, co-writing is something that is really important here in Nashville. I think it opens up a whole new world to you. I'm not saying everybody has to do it, but it's something I think everybody should try. And that could potentially really level up your co-writes. When you're trying to get advice, feedback, guidance from people, you really want to know who you're getting guidance from. I used to kind of cringe when I was getting introduced because it just sounded like, whatever. I've done this and I've done that. But now I just kind of go, hey, I want people to know who I've worked with and what jobs I've had, so they know where I'm coming from when I'm giving encouragement. And I think there's some people out there that are phenomenal. I do think it takes a village. My friend Addison, who's on here, he's doing all kinds of different workshops and getting like poured into from all of these wonderful people. And I just think it's really important to just know what their background is, why they're important in your path, and just be drawn to the right ones for you. Build strong relationships in an authentic way. My friend JT Harding said, it's not who you know, it's who you get to know. And I just thought that was such a great quote. Relationships are, you just can't start burning bridges. When you like make one little leap forward and you don't call back the person that you've been writing with for the last 3 years, that's probably not cool, because they could leapfrog over you, and then why would they call you back? You don't know who's going to pop off, and you just want to keep really great relationships, because everybody has their moment and everybody has their dip, and you want to be supported the whole way through. So keep your relationship strong. It has really served me, and that's why I've had over 100 guests on my workshops, because people want to come help out, and it's just such an honor, to have that kind of relationship with people. Find your champions. Your champions are, oh my gosh, they're going to be everything for you. They're going to be your support. And when somebody does put their time into you, you're a reflection of their reputation. So it is the highest honor for somebody to work with you, and vice versa. I mean, it is a business. Your publisher is your partner in this, and you're going to be a reflection of each other, really. But you're going to know when that champion comes along. I'm thinking about the Garth Brooks documentary that was on television, and his manager is someone that I know. And in that documentary, when Garth had been passed on by everybody, his manager said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When Garth was kind of at a low point, his manager, Bob Doyle, said that to him. And that's what a champion does. A champion doesn't waver. I can say this for me, when I believe in somebody, even when I believe in a song, I don't change my mind about that song. If it doesn't get cut, I think everyone else is crazy, because I know that that song is a great song that would serve somebody well. Connected with it yet, and that's what you want. You want somebody with unwavering belief in you and what you're doing. And finally, don't quit. Laura Veltz is our co-writer on The Bones. She was one of the first nominees for Songwriter of the Year. I believe this is right at the Grammys, that new category that they had that started last year, I believe. She said on a panel, like, do you know people that have failed at songwriting? And she said, I don't know anyone that's failed, but I know some people that quit. And there's a big difference there. And, if you're doing this because you love it, I mean, why would you ever quit? You might take a little break. I love to paint, and I've taken a little break from it because I've been so busy. But I was at a conference last week, and oddly, they had a mural on the wall and you could just stop and paint. And I did that. And I just thought, why haven't I been painting? This brings me so much joy. So don't quit your songwriting. Don't quit going after this journey, especially if it makes you a happier, healthier person. My friend Kai Fleming, who's a Hall of Fame songwriter, who she's one of a few women that are in the Hall of Fame, by the way, here in Nashville. She gave me this advice when I read this article about her and put together. This is a separate lesson, but I love this advice so much. I just say it all the time. I kept doing what I loved and followed the path that lit up before me. This is just great advice for life. And I think music and the arts in particular are a very intuitive endeavor. And this particular thing has never led me astray. Sometimes you go down roads and you don't know why, but you still need to keep going down them. I'm here with you guys right now because of this intuitive feeling. Somebody said, oh, you need to meet Jessica, you need to meet Ebony. And I was like, sure, don't know why, but let's do it. And this is just something that will continue to make your life fun and exciting and keep pulling that life force through you, and especially with music. So that's the end of this presentation. My website is LeAnnPhelan.com. If you want to know more about stuff that I offer, or if you want to connect with me, you can always DM me on Instagram as well. And that is, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here if I can get my mouse to go. I've lost my mouse somehow in this whole thing. Here we go. Had to stop that. Yeah, so those are the 4 steps. And like I said, the publishers that have been on my workshop, they have different versions of the same thing. And, they're like passionate about the writers that come in. They believe in the direction they're going. They just light up talking about them. And, especially here in Nashville, like, songwriters are just, they're just up on a pedestal. Like, everybody just, is so reverent towards songs and songwriters. And if you are talking to a Nashville publisher, you're going to hear a lot of those elements in that meeting, and it'll give you a better insight into what they're thinking and what they're looking for when they're talking to you guys. The good news is, I was thinking about this today, like, it seems like as a songwriter, whether or not you do well or you make it is up to somebody else. It's in the hands of a publisher. It's in the hands of an A&R person at a record label. It's in the hands of somebody who's may or may not connect you with the right group of songwriters. But I have to really say to you guys, it is in your hands. Like, you are in control of this way more than you think, especially with all the tools that we have at our fingertips, especially with Zoom. Like, you can meet people and write with people all over the world. You can upload a song to your Instagram or to TikTok just to try it out, and you can release music to Spotify. And my heart and my just compassion goes out to every songwriter, every artist who's uploading music, doing the DIY path, because there's so much to it. You're basically doing every job in the music industry, and that's what I think we focus on a lot in my workshops. We're just trying to support people and help people figure out, like, what song should I release next, or how can I work on my branding more? Let me meet somebody that might help, with marketing or social media, like all of the things. I'm meeting with somebody tomorrow that wants to get a video made, and we've kind of resourced a bunch of people that are also wanting to make a mark and doing videos a little bit cheaper. It's just all this big ball of connection and DIY and all of this stuff. But yes, it's a lot of work, but you do have control of that. And my advice would be, don't take your eye off the ball. The ball is making sure your songs are great. You have to start there, making sure that your voice is coming through in those songs, getting clarity on what is unique and great about you and what you do. And it definitely starts there. I've been in workshops where people, we've just like drilled down on that point, and it's almost like I see people glazed over. Yeah, the songs. And then they'll go, well, can you set me up on a publishing meeting? And I'm just like, the songs, the songs have to be there first. The songs have to start getting that attention. And so many people, I'll quote Laura Veltz again. She was getting interviewed for American Songwriter magazine. She just like very calmly said, write great songs with your friends until something sticks and people will find you. That sounds like it can't be that simple. It can't be. But I think that's the right advice. You just have to keep writing great songs. Jessica,
I have a question for you.
how long has your hand been up? I
No,
forget
it
to look at
just
the
went
hands.
up. It just went up.
Okay.
And it was the fancy Zoom automated hand up thing. So you just mentioned something, and I will forget my question. And I also see that Judy posted in the chat here, so I want to grab hers too. But you mentioned to continue writing the songs until they're great. What if is there a different world for music placement, or like Judy's saying that she would like to connect her songs with the right artist? I mean, is there something the artist should be looking at if they want to get it into an indie film, or a really big movie, or just in the hands of another act that they want a bigger name to hear their songs? Is there something that they should be looking at in terms of melody, lyrics? What should they look at or think
Yeah.
about?
So I have learned that writing for sync is a different animal. Writing for ads is a different thing. Writing for movies is a different thing. Writing for television is a different thing. And I have a couple of writers that have gotten sync placements. They're usually, if you're someone who writes in that vein, you want to look at companies that have a sync department, like a designated sync department with clout. And it's never been my focus. And so I've had people on the workshop that are focused on that. A lot of them have told us that the best way to write a sync song is to not write a sync. I've heard everything. And I've also heard that people want real artists, not sync artists, to be placed in films or television. I haven't necessarily seen that to be the case either, because I do know some people that are kind of more sync artists. Like some people have a pseudonym that they write under, and they've gotten a ton of placements. That is a little out of my range of expertise, but I'm kind of passing along information from other sync and music supervisors that have come into the workshop. And I do not know Madeline, by the way. So there are those things. Like if I were you and that was one of my focuses, I would look at some of those artists, like the artist Ruel is a wildly popular sync artist. I would look at her website and kind of, study cinematically what her music does and that kind of thing. Some of the songs that have gotten placed that I publish, I didn't pitch them, but I published, are songs that had a more universal theme. And they're just like a little piece of, maybe it's a reality show where somebody's walking into a store to buy new furniture. That was actually one that happened. But it's just a little piece of a song. And you know what else I've noticed? This might be a little tip, but I turned on the captions on my television, and a lot of times I've noticed it will give the artist, like when there is music under the show, it'll give the artist and stuff. Just if you want to pay a little bit more attention, like say you have a song and you think, oh, I really feel like this could be on the Kardashians, because there are a lot of pieces of music on there. Like turn on your closed caption and just see who's getting placed on there, and then just kind of, educate yourself. Do a little deep dive into what people are writing, who they are, listen to their music on Spotify or Apple, wherever you listen, and just kind of get a feel for what's getting placed. There are other shows, like for instance, This Is Us. Like if you notice on that show, on the end piece of music, there are all these different things that are being wrapped up. Like there's a storyline for 5 or 6 different people. And so finding a particular song that's going to speak to all of that, I would imagine, is quite daunting for the music supervisor on that show. So you really just have to get a feel for what kind of music is landing and why does that work for that scene. And music supervisors and people that pitch for sync, it's like a whole other section. So just
Different
kind of,
world.
know that.
Well,
I
that's
feel like
great.
there was another piece to your question though.
I feel like you answered everything on my end. And I
Okay.
don't want to hog that time. So if there are any questions, if anybody wants to hop in, I would feel free to take from LeAnn's mind.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, AI is like this hot topic right now. And I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts on how it could disrupt the music publishing industry as far as like opportunities for songwriters, and what, if you are especially, trying to get into that realm, what can you kind of do to safeguard against, AI basically taking over to where like, or creating more disruption for music publishers, and like you getting your songs in movies, etc.
Absolutely. This is such a huge topic. I did listen to, I used to work for ASCAP, and I noticed they had a talk about AI. And I mean, this was a couple of months ago, and it's so heady, and there's so much to it. The takeaway that I got was, go educate yourself about it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm a person that's like, I want the cliff notes with the technology so I can keep writing myself. But I've listened to a couple of podcasts and different things about it, and I did notice where there was a huge lawsuit. I think it was brought by Universal Music. And so I'm hoping that the powerhouses that be, places like ASCAP and BMI and SESAC, and big companies like Universal, Sony, and places like NSAI and Grammys and all, I would just say, learn as much as you can, support those entities that do historically protect songwriters. And you can support them by getting a membership to NSAI or to NARIS, because they're going to work on behalf of artists and that intellectual property, and they're going to be so much smarter than I am. Like, you guys know, right before this, I'm trying to, how do I get this slide in here? Like, I've got enough on my plate. I'd rather support them and let the really smart people tackle this. But I also, I mean, my opinion is people aren't going to stop writing. And here's this, we may look back at this video a year from now and be like, oh my gosh, that was the most ridiculous thing ever that was said. But I can tell you guys, from decades of experience listening to songs, most of the time when a song has stood out to me, even though I might not have known exactly what that was about, it was coming from a real emotional place, from a real songwriter person. And I have to believe that artificial intelligence is not going to, I'm a very intuitive, soulful, like, I want to connect with people. And I might get duped on an up-tempo, positive, fun song, but I am not ever going to stop wanting to hear your voice print, and hear that situation. I'm always going to want to find myself in your song. And I just don't think that's going to come from a computer. So, and even for me, I'm enjoying writing lessons and coming up with concepts to teach people in these workshops, and writing emails to express, why I want to teach you guys about finding your voice. I don't want a shortcut for that. That's the fun part to me. I don't want to, one thing I did the other day, I went to Chat GPT and I put in one of my favorite books, and I said, give me the Cliff Notes. And I put that down in a document so I could like remember. But there are pieces to that book that I love that weren't on my list, So creating is the fun part for me. I don't need somebody to do it for me. So that's my answer there. And the first time I've ever been asked that question. So I'm just saying, if we're listening to this and it's like, 2033 and everybody's laughing. Just that's how I feel today. And so that's all I know.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah. Judy.
Mute.
Was
So I actually have songs that are really specific for certain people. Like I've been trying to get this one song to LeAnn rhymes, like you have no idea, for years. And I know the agent, and every time I get it to him, like the concert will cancel. I'm like, is this like, I don't know how to do this anymore. Like, how do you connect songs to people? It seems like you would know how to do that.
I mean, I do know how to do that for some people. And okay, here's the insider version of this. Like, the way publishers feel, and maybe your agent friend, I don't know, but everything that I do is a mark on my reputation. You know what I mean? So I personally am never going to pitch a song that I don't feel like is the right thing for an artist.
Absolutely.
And I'm also not going to take up a space for, a favor, an ask, because it kind of feels like that, like, please listen to this song, even though it should be more like, this song will change your career. Like, sometimes it's like that, like, no, you can not listen to this. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to sit here with you while you do listen to it. But, those are all, maybe there are people that I'm working with that I want to save that ask for. You know what I mean? So that's where the challenge is when you don't have a team and it's just you, songwriter to artist, trying to get that song there. If you really, really, really believe in it, I would just keep trying, and there's a lot of different ways somebody can hear a song. I had Barry Dean on my workshop, and he had a spreadsheet of ways that artists could hear songs, and like their hairdresser was on there, their different ways. And so I would just keep trying if you really, really, really believed in it, and that was the shot you want to take. I yeah, I like to tell people, I mean, at least, I've had this job before and I loved it. And when I was at a PRO, a performing rights organization, co-heading the creative team, it's like your job is to do everything you can to help somebody. And even still, I mean, those people are not, like, if they go out and start pitching the wrong things to the wrong people, then they're not going to be good for anybody. So you kind of have to understand that. But that would be a way to like run it by somebody. Like, what do you think about this? If you and I had a private session, and that was one of the things you wanted to know, I would tell you what I thought about it, but and again, whoever you're going to, you want to make sure that they are people that you feel good about getting information from. And I do think there's amazing people out there, but just, you have to find the right people for you.
And how would I set up a private session with you? How do you do that?
On my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. That's all I need. I'm sure there's other people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do we have any more questions for LeAnn? Yeah. Adelia, is that how you pronounce your name? Okay.
So I'm wondering if you feel, well, first, is there a quick way you could explain a few of the ins and outs of a publishing organization?
The ins and outs of a publishing organization. Do you mean like what they do and kind of what to look for from your perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So publishers are going to represent songwriters and artists who write songs, and they are going to, in some cases, help develop, help almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Advertise you in a way, like, say I believed in your music and I signed you. And so my job would then be like, I would come up with some co-writers that I wanted to get you in the room with. And so I would have to go kind of introduce you to people through your songs, like, and through my relationships. Like, I would, go think that a writer's good at this particular company. So I would call their creative people and be like, hey, I just signed this new artist. Her name's Adelia. Is that right? Adelia. And I really think she would be good with so-and-so, like, listen to this song. And we would it's kind of like brokering a co-writing session, and that way, your name kind of gets around, and the goal would be like for everybody to know how great you were and for you to continue to get better. So I would be doing things to help you develop and to help you get with the right people to get the best songs that you could. A lot of what's happening now is a lot of co-writing sessions will have like a producer, maybe a lyricist of some sort, or top liner as they call them, and an artist. Like those three pieces will usually be in the room. So there's a lot more artists writing their own material, and the artist that has a little bit going on, like maybe their numbers are up on social media, or maybe they just got signed to Universal Music, or they just got a record deal, or this name producer is going in to work with them. Like, you just have to create a little fire, a little buzz around what you're doing, and get people excited about you. And that comes with having something unique going on, being really driven. People, like, you kind of need to present yourself as an artist. You need to kind of, I mean, I guess you could show up in sweats if that's your thing, but like, just kind of, you know, be the artist that you want to be in the room, and have, know who you are, like have some things that you want to say, and build those relationships when you get those opportunities. So a publisher can really help you with all those things. And then in some cases, if they believe in you enough, they might develop you as an artist, and even nowadays, like, be a part of you getting to the right agent and the right record deal, the right A&R person on the record side. I've seen that happen so many times, especially here in Nashville. Like, that's why they now call the creative people at publishing companies, they call them A&R. When I first started, it was just, we're song pluggers, we're publishers, but now it's like we're A&R people, because we're doing the development of a songwriter and an artist. I think the time frame, I don't know. I've seen that window shorten a little bit. Like, you need to have something going pretty quick. So it's only to your advantage to use all these tools and build your own fire. Get something started, like kind of show that your songs can connect, and that you have that fan engagement there, or you're writing with some really cool people. But you also, like, a publisher that's really great should also be able to listen to some songs and know the potential of what's there. It shouldn't be just based on, oh, well, I wrote with this person and this person. Like, a lot of people that have blown up on social media that just came out of nowhere, using these tools came anywhere in the country, like the people that were around them, they end up getting publishing deals. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just saying there still should be room for a great songwriter to just come in and have potential, and a publisher that knows what they're doing to be able to see that potential in a writer. Does that kind of help answer what publishers do? And
Yeah, it definitely does. How important do you think location is to make these relationships?
yeah, I get asked that all the time too. Now it's a little bit different story, isn't it? Because again, because of all the things, I was looking for my phone, like because of that phone, you know, you can connect without being in LA, being in Nashville, being in, you know, you could be this huge artist right there in Ohio in the art scene, which I think is what OAPN and all these other places are trying to provide for you, you know. And here's some, I just wrote a newsletter on this not too long ago, but it's kind of like, if you're not in one of those locations, lean into the benefits of not being there. That's helping you be more unique, you know. If I get your email, I'll send you that particular one. It was called something like the benefits of not being in Nashville or something like that. I mean, you know, every time I go to my hometown, it's just like there's 20 song ideas. I'm not a songwriter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the real stuff right here, you know. And I get ideas all the time. I just got an idea for a newsletter because I drove by our hometown sign, and there were so many little things on there about the football team that I couldn't even read them. Like it was so small and I couldn't read them. And I just wrote a thing about like, this is like your social media. This is why we have to drill down on a couple of points that define you, you know? And that's what we're going to talk about, not this Saturday, but next Saturday in the Find Your Voice workshop, which, you know, we were talking about something that, you know, we could do for you guys. I do have a discount on a course that I have called Songwriters on the Rise. And there's a code you can put in. I'll send this to Jessica, but it's OAPN 50. So there would be $50 off of that. But what I would really suggest is maybe you show up next Saturday, because it's like a $37 workshop, and you will definitely meet people. You will definitely be digging out some pieces of yourself that I think will be beneficial. And I've even had some prominent people on the business side sign up for this. So I think it would be really a cool thing for you to do. And Addison's going to be there. So you already know somebody.
That's great. Well, this
May
is
I throw
wonderful.
something in on that?
Hop in, please.
As far as making those connections and not living in Nashville goes, I've done in the last year, I've done 4 songwriter retreats, and I can't remember, LeAnn, how many of your workshops I've attended, but probably 4 or more. And in each of those scenarios, I have, well, first of all, I've been in the presence of a small community for each retreat. And then in each workshop, I've been an attendee of a small community in each workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And through the collaborations and the guest speakers, etc., I've learned, oh, I like this person, or this person I like, but they're not kind of, you know, someone that I would consider me fitting into their circle. So you can make connections through those Zoom workshops or the retreats. That's all I have, I guess. But
That's
even
I
even
mean,
here, you know,
yeah, you've really, like, our last workshop, we definitely did co-writing with people. And I mean, I think you made some great connections there. And like Addison's done things like the Rodney Corral um retreat that was in person. And he did this really exclusive one with uh this guy named Lanny West, whose wife is she's the head of CMT as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure she's got a different title, but you've just made like all kinds of great um contacts, I feel like. And
I
you know,
forget who said.
Addison, I was going to say, you're so great at writing by yourself too. I definitely don't want you to quit doing that. So
So I know we're coming
Um,
to the end here, but this is really great. And I feel like we actually need a whole nother hour with you. We did have a few questions come in from Dr. E, who's a fantastic performer of ours. She actually sits on our board as well. She had a few questions, and I don't know that we have enough time to answer them. I'll run them by you if you have anything you want to say to them. But otherwise, I think that we need to schedule another one of these with you to do a part
I
two.
love it.
And in the meantime, I definitely want to make sure that everybody registers for the class that's next Saturday. We have it in our chat. We'll put on our socials through our email blast, and then in the YouTube chat or comments below when this is recorded. So really quick on these questions. One, is there a certain time of year that publishers are more apt to find songwriters?
I don't think so.
Okay. Two, do you personally have preferred certain genres? And if so, what are they?
Pop and country.
Pop and country. Three, does a writer have to be a certain number of does a writer have to have a certain number of songs to be seriously considered?
1 million. No, I don't think so. But you have to have some things that stand out. Like the last guy that I signed had 100% song that he sang, wrote, produced, and it was his life story. I've never had that happen before. And I used that one song to go get him in rooms and ended
Wow.
up getting him a publishing deal. But and I was acting as a manager there, not as a publisher, but it's just my heart is that of a publisher. So
you could be a brand new person with one fantastic song, but it's better to have a
well, he had more than one song. I don't think there's a number. I just think even here, even people that are in the Hall of Fame, they're still trying to write a great song. So the number doesn't matter. But you can't let your foot off the gas with writing songs, you know?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So final question there. I know writers get royalties, but what is the standard flat fee a new writer should expect upon signing with a publisher?
That's a tough one too, but it's not a lot of money in my experience. The advance that you would get, and it depends on also if you have any leverage coming in. Like if you had a cut that you know, I know one guy who was a co-writer on Butter by BTS had never had a publishing deal before. So his deal looked a lot different than, you know, your normal like $24,000 deal.
Got it. That's
so
great.
You've got to be prepared to have, you know, to be able to sacrifice a little bit to be a songwriter. Maybe you just live in a house with like 10 other songwriters so that $25,000 will help you buy ramen noodles. But I mean, it's, you know, or you find other ways. I had a great new writer named Emily Falvey come on my workshop, and she had found some other ways that she can make money while, you know, writing every day. There are places here like the Listening Room. If you can get on there, I think they pay like $500 a night, when you're making $25,000, $500 a night, is a huge help, you know? So yeah, there's a lot to say there, but, that's just kind of a basic number for somebody that's just freshly signing.
No, that's great. And again, the whole point of us bringing you in is we want to make sure that our folks are connected to you, because I know a lot of people have questions, and this is what you do. So you meet with people one-on-one, they can schedule times with you. You know, they can join your courses. And you know, again, thank you for offering the discount code. We'll make sure that we send all that information out, but we can't recommend connecting with LeAnn enough. Again,
I
we're
just
coming
want
to the, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
want to say
anything else
this
you want to
one
say?
thing,
Yeah.
like, just quickly. So under LP Creative Therapy, I do private sessions with people. So it's one-on-one, you know, on Zoom. I do have courses that are self-guided that you could just go through at your own pace. What I love are the live workshops that I do, and I just do those a couple times a year. We just finished one last Saturday, and it was like, I don't know, Addison, you were there. I was in tears. It was so much fun. We had like 9
So
live
good.
classes. It was so good. Everybody was just so bonded, and I work really hard to make sure that everyone's heard and that it's curated for the people that are in that group. So there hasn't been one that's been the same. But what I wanted to say was, while the live workshops are, you know, the most valuable thing that I do, I always have an offering of something in like a $37 range, like I'm doing in 2 weeks. And a lot of times I'll do a launch for that same amount, where it's like 3 workshops in a row. So no matter, you know, where you are, like, I feel like there's something for everyone. And if you can go deeper, there are ways to do that, but there's always a way to participate in LP Creative Therapy.
I love it. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for hosting Songwriters on the Rise, 4 Steps Closer to a Publishing Deal today for our Tuesday talks. You'll all be hearing from us soon. And again, you can watch this recorded version on our YouTube and at oapn.org. Thanks everybody for joining
Thanks
us
for
today.
having
LeAnn, thank you so
me.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jessica.
LeAnn.
Thanks, Ebony. Thanks, Addie. See you, Delia.